Okay. We need a motion to open the zoning board of appeals meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to open the Groveland Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on January 15th at 7:30. Do I have a second?
Second, Kathy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, welcome to the January 15th, 2014 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. My name's Tom Wakefield, and I'd like to introduce the members. To my immediate left is Deborah Young, Kathy Franson, Jane Moran, alternate Dan McDonald, and alternate Mike Wood, and Julie House is the secretary. And we've got a light agenda tonight, so we'll go right to it. The new business is application 213-14, made by Paul and Mary Jansen and Jeff. Is that Boragine, for premises located at 918 Salem Street, Plat 49, Lot 8, owned by Greg Mello, for a special permit to operate an ice cream and sandwich shop according to all applicable sections of the Town of Groveland zoning bylaws, including section 800 and 805. You can take front seat if you would. Go ahead, you're on.
Jeff Boragine, one of the owners that's gonna hopefully be running the business, and we're just wanted to know what do we have to do to get this going, and like just what we gotta do to get it rolling over there, and like the stuff what we're doing. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
a little nervous.
this is,
Don't be nervous, we don't bite. See, that's why the table's so far apart.
I get to in front of a lot of people too.
Yeah.
this
No,
is
we're
the
not gonna-
first
we're not gonna-
zoning board of appeals either one of us has been at.
Relax. We're pretty
Tell us.
well.
We don't bite you.
Just tell us what you want to do
Right.
as best you can.
I'm gonna let Jeff talk about Paul Jansen.
Okay.
Want to do an ice cream shop with food. I'm a previous owner of an ice cream shop in Georgetown, and we come across this location, and we love the place, and we just wanted to, bring a little mom and pop shop in a Groveland and do a nice little ice cream facility, something for families and stuff like that, and just pretty much that's pretty much it really. And
Now, are we talking about the little red building that's
Yes,
there now with the,
yes.
with the porch?
yes,
Okay.
with I think the Dunn's
Yeah,
facility was.
yeah.
We want to revamp. Let's just make that whole place just ice cream and food and playground stuff for the kids like that. But yeah, pretty much that's it.
You know, there are two usable buildings on the property. The red barn that we've been talking about, that would become the ice cream shop. There'd be a food preparation for sandwiches, hot dogs, grilled cheese, stuff like that in that area, and seating in that area. We're thinking 10 to 12 inside seating. Haven't actually divided. We've got a few little plans here. And then we would need to put an outside window, service window, in the building as well. And outside seating, maybe another dozen or so, depending upon how we can arrange things. Greg Mello is planning to put a septic on the property, and that's going to determine where the other building is situated. The cow building, we call it. I don't know if you've driven by it. There isn't any other name to give it.
The white building down back?
Yeah.
The little one?
The one that's
Cow
painted
barn.
like a
Right,
cow.
yeah, it's painted like a cow. We are planning to, and this young lady is my daughter Maria. She's going to be working at the shop as well, but she thinks that building would be great for small parties, for children to have little birthday parties or something like that. That building probably isn't gonna stay right where it is because of the septic, but it will be moved on the property. We're gonna keep that. You have to keep that building. It's just so adorable. And the rest of the smaller building, there's a little chicken coop, and there's a few other things around there that are all gonna be taken off. We're not gonna have any of that.
So the two buildings we're talking about will remain as the red building and the little cow building?
Yeah.
Two buildings.
Yeah, and those are gonna stay, the red building's obviously gonna stay where it is. And the cow building will probably be moved, but we're not quite sure where it would be moved to. It's gonna be a little dependent upon, it might stay where it is,
Depending where the septic is.
yeah.
What about the little wood shed that's over there too?
Um,
It's like
that's-
between the cow building and the red building,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think that's gonna be gone.
Yeah, it
that's-
looked brand new,
Yeah.
that's why I was.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, but I think
taking
that
that down.
belongs to Mr. Dunn, and I think he's planning to take it. If he isn't planning to take it, we would not keep it. The parking, I guess, was a problem there before, and we, on site, we plan to have room for 22 spaces, possibly as many as 26. We've discussed taking one of the walls out from that is between the red building and the street and putting in parking there. We're gonna have to see how that would work, because the major problem is if people do parallel parking there, I think they can, but they may not be able to safely back out and get back on 97, which is a fairly busy road. If we can't put in those spaces, we still look like we're gonna have 22 in the actual parking area.
Now, have you already rented it? Or are
We
you
have a
just
lease
waiting?
here from, an agreement from Mr.
Correct,
Mello.
yeah.
Did you have a plot plan to show that anticipated parking?
We have our own rough drawing, we
Um,
don't have a formal
The
plot
actual plan of the parking, we just written in written form of how many feet and stuff that we have that we measured out, but as far as a drawing and blueprint, we don't have at the moment. I can definitely get that though.
Yeah. On the right-hand side facing it, there was some Jersey barriers. I suspect he's gonna take them out of there,
Yeah.
and that's where you're proposing some parking along there, is that?
Yeah.
With the mulch bin.
Maybe when
door,
you, we have all the mulch stuff
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
That's parking.
They're on the back
Probably be
part.
parking up against the wall and be to the front of
The red building?
going out, not between, the way I see it, the property between the road and the building is the side of the building. The front of the building we would have parking into.
Yeah.
And then where that shed that's gonna be taken out in back would have parking as well.
Well, currently, isn't there there's a berm in front of what you're referring to, the side of the building?
Yeah.
There's a berm there, that would stay.
Yeah, that we're thinking of taking out. Again, all of the stonework and paths and stuff were put in by Mr. Dunn because he was selling that, and this is examples of his work. I'm not, in talking to Greg Mello, I think Mr. Dunn's planning to leave all of that, but I'm not certain if there is any that he'd wanna take out. But, you know, we're in the negotiating. He and Mr. Dunn, I mean, wanted to wait until we talked to you people to make sure before he started negotiating with us about what we would keep and what we wouldn't keep and so on.
We really need some type of a drawing, because there are setbacks
Uh-huh.
that have to be adhered to. You
Okay.
have to, you can't be parking in the setbacks.
Right.
So.
Excuse me. Should we take a 5-minute break, and maybe Julie can find the Mr. Dunn's?
Yeah,
application?
yeah.
May I-
Make a motion, we'll,
I'd like to make a motion to take a 5-minute break. It is now 7:40.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna take a better idea of what we're talking about for setbacks.
Please,
Right,
Lenny.
right.
Certainly. I'd like to make a motion to open the zoning board of appeals. You got me on, Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah. I haven't finished yet.
Oh,
So,
I know, I'm a little slow, but
You
come
also,
on.
come on. Yeah.
Open the zoning board of appeals at 7:44.
I second.
There you go.
There we go, Kathy seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we do have a plan. Maybe you can come up and look at it. And then you guys have a better idea of what we're talking about. This is the red building. This is where what do they call those?
Mulch.
Barriers.
Barrier.
These are all gonna be taken out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Along here,
All right,
and these greenhouses and potting shed are gonna go,
okay.
all right? Now, I'm not sure.
Where is the cow building?
It's not
Right
on.
in this area.
It's on the patio deck?
Um,
Is it behind the patio deck?
I think it's down.
the cow building is like, it's about right here.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's about right here, and on the back part of the property over here, he does have these stone barriers that stand up.
okay.
That you
Oh,
can't
And I
go
think
beyond
that
that.
marks
Right.
the
Think you mark that.
wetlands that are in back there.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem with doing out an actual plot plan of the parking is that we don't know where the septic is and we don't know where that's gonna be.
First, they gotta figure out
Yeah.
where's the best place
Yeah.
to put that
Right,
first,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. And then, according to Greg Mello, he's gonna be able to get a septic that you can park on,
Okay.
which will
Yeah,
make.
they make them, yeah.
Yeah,
And they do, and that's what he said he's gonna put in, which
Mhm.
would be,
Yeah.
which would be great.
And this patio display isn't there anymore.
No,
I don't even know what that is, but yeah.
That was, I think he did that, I incorporated that over here, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he, I
Yeah.
don't think he quite like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
These are-
there was that little, turnaround here, that's gonna,
Right.
I suspect that would stay and.
yeah, this part here, and it doesn't look that big. It looks like he's got something this size with them, I don't know if this is the sign or whatever. but
Yeah,
there's
it's a
a
sign,
in
yeah.
there.
As long as, I think, as long as you, maintain what's there currently and you
Mhm.
don't park in front of what's there first,
Mhm.
I think you're.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only
that-
place that we would be getting into that area, and that's flexible, is this display that's in front here.
yeah.
mhm.
We would take that off and hopefully park there. But
Yes,
Oh,
I don't,
that's-
I,
yeah.
see, I don't know that you can do that.
If we can't, that's
Yeah,
not
Not
an
a
issue.
big
See,
deal.
that's what I'm saying, with
Yeah,
with
if we're not-
the
yeah.
setback from the right
I
of way.
I don't know, it depends on if he's not going in this way, but if he's parallel, a couple of spaces there, it all depends on how far
Right.
out it is.
You know, we just, parking is, we want to.
Cause you don't want the cars backing onto the road, so
Right, yeah.
maybe,
And we don't, we don't want people parking on the road, so we
Right.
wanna maximize the number of
Mhm.
spaces here.
So basically,
And
that
this-
wall.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
That actually gives you quite a bit of space.
yeah.
It
Behind,
does.
behind that, that's right, yeah.
And this, I think, is where he's got his shrubs and stuff laid out, that's all.
Yeah, it's already here.
And this would be the area that we would have the employees park,
Okay.
which
Last
would
I
be
remember,
Jeff.
there was a little shed or something over to the right of that, is
I
that?
think that's a chicken coop or something,
Is
I
that-
don't know what it is.
Yeah, I thought it
No,
was
that-
something.
Like
metal
an older
shed.
one, with an
Like a
older?
metal shed, yeah, antiques and stuff in there. Is
That's
it?
gone.
Oh, it is,
That's
okay.
gone, yeah.
All right,
Yeah, he
And
did have
that way,
antiques.
yeah.
We're anticipating it'll be Jeff and Maria, and probably one or possibly two other people.
Always go for more,
What? Yeah.
always go
Yeah.
for more,
Yeah.
cause if you expand and you have more, you're not breaking your,
Yeah, right,
you put down 6, even if you never hit it,
yeah. mhm,
okay?
mhm.
You're always asking
Well,
more.
I agree with the parking spaces, I'm kinda thinking.
That's
for
fine,
employees,
that's
we-
fine,
but yeah,
Like I
but we
say-
wanna have a separate place to.
sure. But when you ask the employees, you always go for
Yeah.
more, so
Yeah.
it gives you that leeway,
Mhm,
okay?
mhm.
We wouldn't want you in violation.
Let me just push this down so they can see it down there. This is the prior plan that got approved and utilizing the same property.
So is this the same business you have in Georgetown? You
Roughly.
currently
We're-
have this business?
No more in Georgetown.
Okay, you closed it,
Oh,
Hen
All right.
boards. There was hen boards. there
okay,
was
so
that
it's
Noonan.
just, what, sandwiches?
Ice cream and sandwiches, yes.
And hot dogs.
Where was it?
cheese,
Where was
Oh, that was your place?
We're in the same parking lot as Noonan's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the back. yeah.
Hamburg's, the little blue ice cream shop.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if this was gonna be a second location.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
it was
This is
just.
gonna be the relocated.
Okay.
Now, is this, are you, is this a year-round, operation or
It's
seasonal?
Seasonal.
Seasonal.
Should do about 8 months.
Because if I remember correctly, from the prior approval, there was no heat in this building.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
There's I think
And
a
a pellet
wood burning
stove.
stove.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
Front.
there was no,
It's like trying to keep the outside.
yeah, there was no central heating and it
And
probably,
there's no
no insulation.
insulation or
Yeah.
anything in the walls. We plan to put that in, when we put in the windows and stuff, insulate and put drywall up and stuff like that, but, you know, it'd still just be a pellet stove to heat.
Because you have to talk to the fire chief too.
Yeah.
You have to go by fire code,
Right. Mhm.
especially when you have seating.
Mhm. Mhm.
He will help you determine what you can and can't have.
Right.
You know that, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Just as long as it comes out of my mouth.
Okay.
You can't say that you didn't know.
so the hours of operation, anticipated, are they in here that I didn't say?
Well,
You can go and
currently-
sit down and relax.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it
just
would
wanna-
not be, it would not be breakfast.
Yeah, go ahead, because, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and then he can catch you better on
We're
the.
not planning to start breakfast.
No.
Okay,
we're
so it's,
looking
was
at-
11 till about 9 at night.
Oh,
Okay?
'cause it's
Everyone
10 to
sit
10.
down.
11 to 9?
Yeah, that's what the current shop is.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Is it, how many days? 7 days?
7.
7 days. Got that?
I got you.
Okay.
Opens on the first day of spring. We're hoping to do that this year too.
March 21st, usually first full day, yeah.
To Labor Day?
Usually March
Usually-
21st.
No, usually you close end of September, maybe into October.
Columbus Day.
Maybe the end of
Usually.
October.
And we usually close right before Halloween, usually. Like literally on the 30th. But
And the maximum number of employees you said were gonna be
It's
five?
gonna be 2 anyway, and probably,
Give them at least 6.
2
Well,
more.
it says 10 on their
7,
application.
6, yeah, what's 7?
Yeah, you had 10 on the application, and I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
kinda-
You wanna go 10, go
we took-
10.
We took
Do I
this
hear
land as
12?
advice.
Yeah, we had 10 at the old shop, so.
Okay, now the
Now, 10
maximum.
would be the total number of employees, not 10 at,
No, I understand you're gonna rotate.
Yep.
Yeah, rotate, yeah, I understand. The signage is limited to 12 square feet.
Yep.
So, so you'll know that, 12 square feet signage is, and you're thinking that between 22 and 28 spaces of parking?
that's what it was.
So the
meant
parking
on
is,
it.
what, probably 10 by 20? Is that-
Yeah,
A 9 by 18, I think 10 by 20.
I don't think it's 20.
Huh?
I don't think it's 20.
I think
9 by
918, I think is regular, and then 1020 is handicap.
8 by 8, yeah.
I think 1020 is handicap. Been a while
But
since
then you
I've-
need the van spaces too.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done that.
Those are much wider. I forget what the-
My advanced age now, I don't have total recall now. Do you anticipate, what type of materials would you have in deliveries? Would it be like the pickup truck or UPS or?
basically probably one UPS size truck. Our only deliveries that we really get, actually 2 of them is as our ice cream delivery and our bread delivery. Everything else we go pick up.
So nothing bigger than a UPS truck?
Yeah. nothing bigger than
We're not
UPS.
talking about box trucks or any of that type of thing?
18-wheeler.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, just very much like a UPS size
And
truck.
how about lighting? Any exterior lighting proposed?
We were talking about that over here. I guess there's electricity running to several spots on the property, and we would like to have definitely outdoor lighting, which I think is all set up on the red building.
Okay. Well,
And
if
then we
you,
want a wire for the parking lot, and for the cow building, depending upon where it's gonna be.
if you put in lighting for your parking lot, they have to be cut off luminaire, which means they gotta come right down, they can't shine onto the road or, you know, obstruct traffic, they have to be right down, like a box that shoots down.
Okay.
So, what I'm doing is I'm making notes here, so I just wanna make sure that,
Okay.
What did you say the signage was?
12 square feet.
No, it's total square.
Yeah, total,
For everything.
yeah, for everything, total.
That's for all.
For the parking, we have 9 feet wide on parking. spaces.
9, okay, yeah, by 18?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, Okay, do you know what the maximum square foot of that building is? Maybe do we have it?
What's it inside?
1502 of the red building,
Yeah, the red building?
1502.
Okay, good. And do you, how about, you got the card on there?
No, because it wasn't on the site plan. So,
Okay, I'm gonna put the maximum square foot of the building is 1502 square feet.
for the red.
For the red, and then there's a,
The cow building.
how is it?
Do you know how big it is?
We did a rough measurement on it?
Yeah, was it 12 by 14?
Is it, it's not the 18 by 20.
I think it's 10 by 14.
Yeah, I got about 300 square feet total on that.
Okay.
It's just a rough estimate with the Sterling type measure, I threw it out there.
Me and my ass getting bad. Cow shed says 20 by 18 on here.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
For the cow building?
Yep.
I got 18 by 99.
What is that?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So how many square feet?
282, I guess, so
So 300 square feet.
roughly 300.
Yeah, no, see, this says 12 by 16, so I think we're all.
Well,
Getting close, yeah.
yeah, what did I say? I said 14.
This says
I
12
was
by
off by half a
16.
foot.
Okay.
It's got a variety pack in.
I did the outside, yeah.
Now, I think that's all I'm gonna go here. This other stuff is just regulatory information. How about other questions? Do you have any questions down here, anyone down here? No. No questions?
Tom, who's voting on this?
Dan, are you guys decide Dan's gonna vote? Dan's voting. Thank you. Well, I make a, motion, to approve the application 2013-14, made by Paul Jansen and Jeff
Origin.
Borigine, to operate, let's see, we were gonna, do you have a name for this?
Yes, we do.
What's
We-
in-
Jeff and
Right
Marie?
now, we're looking at Jeff and Maria's old fashioned ice cream.
Okay. To
You
operate,
Yeah.
left my
food,
name
yeah.
off and I can't understand it.
Jeff and
I do kind of have a rough logo, if you want to see it.
Maria's,
Sure,
Jeff and Maria's
Sure.
Ice cream.
Old Fashioned Motion, okay?
Old fashioned ice cream.
Okay.
This will be what it look like.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you.
It'll be old fashioned.
Old
It
fashioned,
says fashion.
with no
Yeah, it
calories.
needs an ED.
So no calories, correct? That's what you mean?
That's right.
Yeah, no
We'll
calories.
have yogurt.
We like that.
Mr. Chairman, for public comment.
Yeah, oh, sorry, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't know if there's anyone here. Is there anyone who wants to, speak in favor? Okay, go ahead.
Joe Demore, 9 Cherry Tree Lane, I'm representing myself. I think it's a wonderful idea that, I know the Jansens, they're very dedicated to their community. And I don't know Jeff, but I know his family goes back many years. They operate Henberg's, is it? So you're looking at a joint venture of 2 families coming together. And I'll tell you, there's very few businesses that will come to our town that will actually positively impact our a quality of life. And this is an amazing opportunity, so I thank you for supporting it.
And so we must be opposed up here in the back? We got one for, anyone else want to speak?
Why don't you take the opposing?
Anyone?
Talks very softly. so-
Yeah, there you go. Anyone else want to speak? Okay, thank you, Dean.
I object.
Yeah.
Feel better?
Yeah, right. So the hours of operation would be 11 a.m. Till 9 p.m., and that's 7 days a week?
Is that good, Rick? I sort of committed you to that.
I forget what you wrote.
You wrote down 10 to 10.
10 to 10, right?
Yeah.
You want 10 to 10?
Yeah.
I need to put this on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be good.
10 to 10,
10 to 10 would be ideal.
and that's 7 days a week?
7
Yeah,
days, yeah.
definitely 7 days a week.
The maximum number of employees is 10. The maximum allowed sign is 12 square feet. Parking will be between 22 and 28 spaces. The material deliveries would be no bigger than a UPS truck. The lighting, the proposed parking lot to be cut off luminaire, and again, that just means shines down, not out. Maximum square foot of the building is limited to 15,002 feet, 1,500 feet, which is the red building, and the so-called Kyle building would be approximately 300 square feet, which are existing buildings. This is not a retail, this is, yeah, it is, it's retail, well,
Yes, yes,
yeah, it's
yeah.
retail space use only, and, all submitted plans will become part of, agreement, which we already have, your application. If the proposal is in the Aquifer Protection District, the applicant shall meet all requirements as deemed necessary by the Groveland Planning Board. I don't believe that is.
No.
It's subject to all Groveland Board of Health rules and regulations, and what this is gonna encompass, I didn't put in here, the septic system, but you're gonna have to have a septic system, so, and, a water supply. Is there currently water there as well, or
Yeah.
They do have a watering system there.
is it town water there, or?
It's
Town water, yeah. I believe, yeah.
Cause see, this would be covered, your water and your sewer would be covered in this health
Yeah,
regulations.
I don't think there's, obviously no sewer there. It's gonna
Yeah.
be septic.
Okay.
But I'm certain that it's town water.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what everybody's told me.
Point of order, if I
Go
may.
ahead.
I believe that the town water is there, and similar to a local variety store that put in frozen yogurt, they had to get a grease trap.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
part of the,
Yeah, no,
the health regulations, they'll make you do that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're anticipating, we'll make sure that
Okay.
goes in.
So, I'm gonna, which includes, new septic system, well, there is not one there. And subject to all laws, rules, regulations, inspections, and others of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Special permit is subject to recall if the board receives any written complaints. No action on the special permit or the extension, modification, or renewal thereof shall take effect until a copy of this decision is recorded in the Essex Southern District Registry of Deeds for the county and district in which the land is located and indexed in the index under the name of the owner, or is recorded and noted on the owner's certificate of title and receipt of said transaction delivered to the building inspector prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit. This permit is non-transferable. If the rights authorized to the applicant or the property owner by said special permit are not exercised within 2 years from the date of granting this of said special permit, would be the filing date with the town clerk of the board's decision, and such special permit shall become null and void unless a substantial use thereof commenced except for good cause, or in the case of a permit of construction, if construction is not yet begun by such date except for good cause. the town clerk shall certify on the copy of the final decision within 20 days, of the 20 days have elapsed since the filing, and that no appeal has been filed, or that if such appeal has been filed, that it has been dismissed or denied. A duplicate of said document shall be mailed to the applicant and or the owner. That's the motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Okay.
Now, I'll let Julie can explain what that legal language means.
Oh, after the board's decision, I have 14 days to file the decision, and after this decision is filed, you need to wait 20 days, and after the 20 days is up, you could probably just come in and get a copy of of the original decision. I will be sending you a letter and a copy of the decision, but you need to come and get the original decision and bring it down to the Salem Registry of Deeds, where they'll put a stamp on it, and you need to bring that back to the town clerk, so that way she can file it. Okay, and I along with the copy of the decision I send you, I have directions
Okay,
as to what you need to do. Okay?
good. Thank you.
So you're all set, thank you, good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Looking forward to the old-fashioned ice cream.
Old fashioned.
You're gonna be when you're taking job applications.
Probably around March, actually, probably around March. We have the crew, we're bringing back the crew from my previous one, we're bringing them back, and we're gonna be able to hire a few more, so.
Okay.
Definitely.
Great, good luck down
Yeah,
there.
thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thank
yeah,
you.
good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you can believe that for, yeah, I had my, when you open the.
Yeah, I know you are.
Well, you know, is that gonna be your sign?
Yeah, this is just a rough copy, we gotta spell it right, yeah. Old fashioned. Old fashioned, yeah, yeah.
Is application 2007-2 White Birch Village 40B application.
Why are we still doing this?
The continuance of 40B comprehensive permit for land located at 151 Center Street, Strawberry Fields, under the direction of James Bussin to construct 100 units under Mass General Law 40B. And I have a letter that is dated January 8th, 2014, to the Groveland Zoning Board of Appeals, care of Julie House, Zoning Board of Appeals Secretary, Groveland Town Hall, 183 Main Street, Groveland, Mass. Applicant, White Birch Village, amended comprehensive permit application, property 150 Center Street, Groveland, Mass. Dear Ms. Haas, the applicant in the above referenced matter hereby requests a further continuance of the board's hearing currently scheduled for January 15th to the meeting of April 2nd, 2014. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I'll pass this down to everyone to look. Is that the date? Is that the correct date, Julie? The 2nd of April? I meant to bring a calendar. I had one right at my desk and I didn't. Is that?
I actually have a big one at
Oh.
home that I need to bring in. April
I think
2nd.
that is the right date. It's the
Yeah, it's a
31st.
Wednesday.
It is.
Yeah, okay,
It's a
good.
Wednesday.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Do you need a second on that?
Well, we're gonna look at first. Let them review my
Oh.
questions first.
Okay.
Any comments down on the side?
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, any comments from the public?
No.
No,
I
okay.
get the information.
Hearing none, I need a second.
Okay. Second the continuance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's passed. All right. Next thing on the agenda, and I'll tell you, I did some research on this. This is the discussion we had.
Sign that, please.
Oh, yeah. The discussion we had the last meeting regarding, what's today, the 15th?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regarding a special permit, that gets transferred exactly. And,
Continuous use.
yeah, and reading the ordinance, and I can tell you, I read it very thoroughly several times, there's absolutely nothing in there they would indicate that that has to come before the board. I also went to town hall and talked to some people, and it was determined that the board, for whatever reason, instituted that procedure, and it seems like the board, if it sees fit, can institute. I don't see that has to happen at all. However, I think that if there's a change of use, a change of ownership, exactly, they ought to notify the building inspector, who then, notifies the board, so that we have a record. It just goes in the file so that we know what's there, so that it's a continuation of use. And then if subsequent to that, they sell it again and it wants to be changed, then you have a chain of what's been taking place. So I think I thought that we had to do a warrant on this, but this is just something that, for some reason,
Well, I think I figured out why.
I don't know.
I will, because I was looking through it too, because
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, well, if this is business district, then it should be able, if it's a permitted use, it should be just a permitted use,
Yeah.
which is exactly what permitted means, allowed. But they're in the RB district, that particular location, 939
Yeah.
Salem Street. So it's a residential district. That's probably why they keep making them come in here.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that.
Are you sure?
Well, no. I think if it's the exact same, I don't think it's an issue. But if for some reason you say, okay, now we're running I don't want to use the one, we're running an ice cream store, but we want to change it to a beauty salon.
Right, but you tell everyone, like you just told these people here,
Yeah,
that it is not transferable.
that's
That's
right. Well,
right.
we'd have to change it. That would be.
That's probably why they have to keep coming back in, because it's
Yeah.
not transferable.
Well, yeah,
Right?
Yeah, but that's correct. That's what I'm saying is, we're discussing it tonight to say that,
Yeah.
hey, the only time it wouldn't be transferable is if it's changes.
Right.
You know, it's-
We've seen several times where a
Yeah.
doctor vacates an office
Yeah,
and another doctor comes
yeah,
in behind.
1-1, yeah.
And it seems to me
That's sort of redundant.
it's redundant, and I think it's bad
Yeah.
public policy
Yeah,
to
I
charge
don't-
the fee for a transfer of the same use.
Well,
So I think
way
that,
too
I think
high.
it, what's that?
The price is way too
Yeah.
high for, yeah.
But that's another subject.
But if they just put a public notice or something on file to say that they will comply with the pre-existing permit,
Well, that
and tack
would
off of that.
That would be part of the, that's why we would be notified the board
Yeah.
that I have, XYZ Corporation has bought TDY Corporation to operate the same business.
Right.
Okay, and then what we have is, we have a record of it, goes in the file, and then the same type of conditions, which were the prior conditions, would apply to that. If there was a complaint, then you could go back and say, okay, based on this complaint for the first one, which you have acquired, along with all the approvals, you got a problem. So I don't see that to be an issue. Go ahead.
So you want to eliminate someone from coming in because they're going to have the same use for the business? Is that what you're
Yeah, so.
saying? Because I wasn't here last time.
You
Well,
weren't here?
I was.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
No wonder.
so
No wonder it went smooth.
I understand. No, I definitely believe that people are going to use it for the same use shouldn't pay the same price. But I disagree on not having them come before the board because there are rules and regulations in this town, and I think we should let them know so they understand what it is they need to do to follow. Most people, they take over a business and they will see this permit and they will basically file it, okay? They're not gonna look at what our regulations is for anything in this town, what they can and they can't do. So even if it's to review what is the law, the regulations for the zoning, they should have to come before the board for something.
Well,
Yes, I don't think it should be the same amount of money if it's a transfer, but I still think they should come before that's just
No,
my opinion.
No, then if you come before the board, then you're gonna have a hearing.
You should call it something else.
Well, we don't have anything.
You should call it a hearing because like you said, you have to
Yeah, right,
show that the business has been transferred legally.
But what part of the permitted use don't you understand? I mean, if it's permitted use, and it's got an approval, and all I'm doing is changing the corporation's name for another person to do the exact same thing, what part of that, is?
Because the people that you allowed the permitted use to do are no longer doing the business. You're doing someone else, you're giving them, you're transferring what you permitted one person to follow rules, regulations to the town, and you're just handing it over to somebody else.
Correct.
Yeah, but you-
No.
It's the same permitted use.
No. You permitted that person, they sign the document, they have the application, they pay for it. They are required to follow the rules and regulations of the town. If you transfer that over without even stopping to talk about them or some kind of fee or some kind of document, they're not bound to that.
Well, yeah, yes, they
They're
are.
not- no,
Yeah,
they're
well,
not,
what-
but
what
no,
we're
their
saying
signature is not on there.
Yeah, what we're saying is that they're gonna have to file with the, either the clerk or someone, we'll have to figure out where it goes filed, that they're going to purchase the property, that it's gonna be subject to the same approval by the first corporation or owner, and then if we have to give them a copy of the approval. But then it's gonna be in the same file, it's the same thing. I don't see that there's, I think to me, it just seems to me that if it's a permitted use, now, all bets are off if they wanna do something different, but if it's the same, I think that they should be allowed to just continue the same use with a different
Well,
owner.
nobody said they couldn't.
But I think it's.
But there's other pitfalls of
You-
not allowing them to, because you still have the gap in the timing, which is problematic for both the landlord and the business. How many businesses can wait the 14 days for the notice, wait the 20-day appeal period before, so.
Plus, depending on
That's
when-
34 days, so you already overlap 2 months, so the landlord's gonna lose 2 months.
Well, it also
As soon as
depends
you
on.
wanna start the lease on the first of the month instead of the fourth of the month.
But then it depends on when you are negotiating to do it. If you did it like right after our meeting, like tomorrow, if all of a sudden tomorrow you came in and you said, geez, I wanna sell it,
Yeah.
and you wanna, so now you're a whole month, and not just 2 weeks, you're like.
It might be reasonable for them to give notice that the permit has been transferred.
Yeah, well, that's what I think, yes.
And then the ZBA could look at it, and if there's
Well,
any
then-
questions.
then it gets filed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should notify the board that the transfer has taken place, and that they will adhere to the conditions of the prior approval. And
Well,
that-
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, Letitia.
So, as part of that process, let's say I'm gonna open up an ice cream stand here in Groveland,
Yeah.
okay? Do I need to then apply for a business license somewhere, like with a building inspector or town clerk or somebody?
I don't know that. Do they have a-
Town clerk,
they-
okay, so I go
Yeah.
to the town clerk and I say, I wanna open up an ice cream store.
Yeah.
So at that point, can the town clerk say to, okay, let's see if there's a permit for this particular location?
Oh, yeah, we're only talking about.
But I'm saying it doesn't
sales.
necessarily have to happen here, it can happen when they apply, so that they're not losing 34 days. And the building
Oh, yeah,
inspector can
well.
decide, does it comply with zoning or
No,
not?
if it's
He's
a
the
new-
enforcement guy.
No, it's a new use, it has to come.
No, I know, it's a new use. What I'm saying is if, in this particular case, it was kind of an ice cream stand before, now it's an ice cream, but I'm gonna buy it, right? And it's the same thing, like we were talking about the pizza place last time. If I go in and I wanna buy the pizza place, and I'm just buying the assets, everything else is the same, I'm operating everything the same, do I need to come in front of zoning? Should I have to?
Well,
Or
that's
should
a-
I just go to the town clerk and say, okay, the owner of record has now changed, I'm now, pizza place number 2?
Yeah, and I think you should be able to do that by filing a letter that says, I've now purchased Pizza Place,
Right.
continuing the exact same operation as Pizza One, subject to the same conditions granted
Exactly.
to Pizza One.
And they have to sign,
they
and I have to sign
yeah,
that,
they sign
yes.
it, and then that gets forwarded to Julie, who then puts it in the file. And we probably for purposes of record keeping, it should be on the agenda just as a formality, so that you write it into the record, so that
You
this-
keep track of transfers.
you keep,
Right.
yeah, transfer, yeah,
Right.
it goes in the
But
record.
to make the pizza girl number 2
Yeah.
wait 34 days.
Yeah, there's no way.
So I'm gonna have to close down the
Yeah,
business
yeah,
for
yeah,
34
yeah,
days.
The landlord's
until-
losing the rent,
Yeah, there's
and
no way.
Right,
and meanwhile, the
right. It doesn't
business
make
goes.
sense.
Yeah.
It's
Georgetown.
anti-business.
So, yeah, there's
We're
no-
trying to bring business in.
There's no
right?
way, yeah.
Yes.
What do you got?
If I may speak,
Go ahead.
I'm in
Sure, it's
agreement.
informal, go ahead.
Whether I buy a pizza place or I lease an existing pizza place, if I'm gonna take over a business, most same permitting use scenarios would be a continuation of the business. So I think we're all in agreement. I also understand that we can't wait 34 days, we know that. I also think it's punishing to ask me to spend $650. So that needs to be addressed, and I'm not a big fan or a big advocate of reducing revenue to the town because we need revenue, but I think.
Actually, Joe, this isn't revenue, this is actually just a wash for, we discussed this is a wash
It's
for
a wash.
advertising
Right.
and the fees, it really is that high.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, we're talking about these sale things have all come in and it's like, come on, it's the same thing. So when I started reading the ordinance, I didn't see anything in the special permits that said that, and then in doing some legwork in town hall, it was determined that maybe a prior board had determined that they should come. Well, I mean, if it's changed, all bets are off. Come in and see how it works.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to sell it, but we should have a record of it.
Well, I will say though, I absolutely agree that there's an educational component that might
Yes.
be missing. So I will come into this town from many miles from here, and I buy a pizza place, and now it gets transferred over. So I would say it is possible to interject an educational component by compelling me within 30 days after I've received that transferred permit to come and see you, just so that you can.
But then that's going to cost money because.
Well, in my thought,
Well,
excuse me,
can we do it
in my
without money?
thought with this, and
Yeah,
I
you have to
totally
give notice
agree
and
with
you
not,
but you gotta
with
give notice,
not,
you gotta
wait a
advertise.
minute, no. Without, I totally agree with the fact that they shouldn't have to come in here and spend that kind of money. That being said, I don't know why the town cannot make a transfer of the same business when you do come in to be a business person in here, that you pay a small fee, it's just a small clerical fee,
Nominal fee. maybe.
right, for an application with the thing that they should come before the board, a new business should come before the board and make sure they understand. In other words, they're transferring, they have the permission to open the business, to keep going forward.
And to
But
actually
they
do
should
it.
come before the board if there's any questions or anything they don't understand for our rules and regulations. In other words, they have their permit to keep going, but we should see them.
Well, I
I'm sorry, I
hear what you're saying.
Does the
This is
permit
just
have
my
to
opinion.
still
If I
be
can do that if I can do that without
Huh?
being interrupted,
No.
in other words, if I can
Exactly.
if I can take over that pizza place without a day off,
Right.
and I know I need to come in here
At night,
within 30 days for a $50 fee or a $100 fee or a $20
What is
fee,
that?
so that you can educate me or I can ask you questions about, I want to make sure I'm operating within the
you're in a
permit.
new town, you don't know.
I need to be educated.
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't the town clerk have
I don't
copies
mind
of
that.
these, of approvals?
A lot of people won't, they'll figure they're the same
Yeah, no.
thing.
No.
You wanna
Well,
know what the town you're dealing with.
I think, I understand what you're saying, Joe, but just in a matter of this application, and I've had this discussion with other people, in fact, maybe even I forget who it was, but it's been people within the town government. And their feeling was that it's incumbent upon the applicant to know what zone is in, to know all the regulations, coming in cold turkey. I happen to have a little experience in this whole area, and I don't think that the applicant has any clue
Nope.
of what that is, which
But
is
the
probably
burden
why
would
I
be-
receive
the
phone
burden would
calls.
be on me, the new business owner.
Yeah,
regardless.
which is why I receive phone calls on information that really is probably incumbent on other people within the town to answer. But I think what you have to rely on is you have to rely on the person who's buying the business to be savvy enough, or at least enough intestinal fortitude to at least look up the application to see what I'm going to be restricted to. Yeah, I think you can get to a point where it's going to be if you got to keep coming, what's the sense of not just making them come like we have? I'm trying to make it a little easier for them and say, listen, it's the letter that you're going to have to write has to say that you're going to adhere to the prior conditions of approval. Now, who's going to look that up? they better look it up. And,
I see it as this, I mean, I bought a house in town and I didn't have to come before the board and
Yeah.
have anyone explain to me what I'm supposed to do as a citizen or a resident.
But
of
you
the
don't
town.
have people
Maybe we
coming to
should.
your house
Mo-
and
mo-
selling
Most
things.
businesses, if I was gonna buy a business, and there was a special permit, I would make sure that I could do what I wanna do, I'm gonna go out of business, because if they do deviate from what, is permitted,
Yeah.
they're gonna go backwards and they're gonna lose money, so it's a good, due diligence exercise for any business, and I think most businesses where they're putting their own hard-earned money on the table, they're gonna exercise that due diligence and follow that special permit, or, they proceed at their own peril.
that's right, subject to that permit. I mean, so that if there is an issue, you pull a permit out, and then the powers to be who enforces the zoning ordinance can come and say, wait a minute, you're in violation because this is the permit that was granted. You've assumed that those conditions, and I think it's incumbent upon the person just to look it up.
The other thing is too, when people are looking around for a place to set up shop, I mean, towns get reputations, and if the reputation of Groveland is recurringly, you need to go before, zoning board of appeals. That's intimidating. And a lot of businesses are, maybe startups, they're not necessarily ongoing businesses that are gonna transfer. They may be young people or maybe immigrants, and they're intimidated by that red tape, and I see it as a red tape. It's a hurdle to overlook. I agree with Joe here that there can be some education there, and I think that can be resolved by when there is a transfer, you could just make a requirement that the transferred permit be filed with ZBA or the town clerk or.
Well, and what might happen is when we get that,
And
We send them a
ZBA
copy.
could look at that and you could send them a
We send-
publication saying, know your rights, be informed of what you're.
or send them a copy of the approval.
But to require them to come in here requires
Yeah.
a public notice,
That's
and everything that goes with that.
Maybe when the letter comes to the board.
Yeah, I think it could scare away business.
Then we send them a copy of the prior conditions that they're subject to, that would work.
Anything that would educate me, the new
Yeah,
owner.
so when you go in
Be helpful.
and you bought the business,
Something
you
like
send,
that.
you send a letter to the board that says,
Yeah.
you're now the new owner, doing the exact same thing, subject to the same conditions of approval, goes to the board says, okay, we put it in the application file, we pull out a copy of the approvals and send it out to the applicant.
Many
Costs
years
money,
ago,
though.
many years ago, I bought a food business.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Many years ago, I bought a food business in Everett, and there wasn't full disclosure by the seller. And I remember clearly saying, you don't have to worry about the local health board. And I think we expose ourselves when there's a transfer of property or transfer of businesses from one to another. You may have a party that is not motivated to defend the interests of the town. We're just assuming that the seller is gonna transfer all that knowledge over along with the permit. So we have to have a way of educating that person. We either call them in there for a nominal fee, which is a little bit of a deterrent, but not if I can operate uninterrupted,
Right.
not have to wait 30
Right.
days. It might not be a bad deal for me, or educate them in a different way. And that,
Well, I think it, I don't
as
know.
long as I get some kind of education.
I don't know whether.
Anybody who puts assume in a sentence is in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with them coming in afterwards.
No.
I just don't want them to be
Well,
interrupted.
what's the common
That's-
denominator? What is the lowest cost that you can have a new owner come in? No interruption, no having to wait 34, and no having to pay $650. Well, what's the lowest cost to get him in the door to sit with you for 10 minutes to get him a little bit of
Well, you see,
education?
it's
Is it
that,
$50?
More the clerical
it's that
fee,
it's that
yeah.
expensive. If they're gonna
It
come
is?
up, yeah, you're gonna have to
You're
advertise it.
educating me, I know.
You're gonna have to advertise it.
Yeah.
That's costly.
Not if he's going for a new permit. If he's just having it transferred, we don't have to
You don't have to
advertise it.
advertise it?
We don't
It's
have to
gonna-
advertise
it's gonna be on
it.
the
They
agenda.
should have
Sure.
a short,
I think you're gonna have to.
you have to put it on the board. It's
I
just
think
transfer of
If
ownership.
it's gonna be on the board, I think you're gonna have to advertise it. It's gonna be.
I'd
it's
have to
gonna-
look into it.
What if it's
I
a
don't
new
know.
lease, you say transfer ownership, I mean, in the lease too.
Yeah.
If you can clarify that and keep it as cheap as
Yeah,
possible.
but I don't know, I'd have to check to see how these fees, I don't know if you could just reach in and get. the
Because as a
fees.
business owner, I would have been motivated to come listen to a board and get the straight deal about what the health and board.
Well, yeah, but
allowed.
also though, Joe, I
Well,
mean,
in
I
this
think,
case,
I think
be the zoning.
Dan's right. I mean, if you're gonna come into town, you're gonna know what I'm gonna be subject to. I'm not putting any money down until I find out. I'm gonna have to go down and check and say, hey,
Please, how many people do I have to pull out of my hat over the past 10 years who have walked away from their property only to find people do something wrong? or violate how many things in this town. You're not dealing with a city that you come in and you have a water supply and everything else in hand. You're coming into a small town. We have aquifer, we have septic systems. We need to let them understand what's going on. We can't willy-nilly assume that these people are going to adhere to what the person before them did. I understand trying to make it easy for them. But first and foremost, it should always be the people in this town. It is a town. It is not a city. Everything is not paved. We have water supplies to worry about. That's why we're diligent in what we do. And I can see having a small fee, if they can continue their business and don't think they're going to read and go by regulations, they should be come before the board and say, okay, I'm glad you're in town. This is what your permit says. Is there any questions? Do you have anything that you don't understand? And then off they go. I don't see why there's a problem with
I
that.
disagree. I
I
see that
disagree
as you
too.
move into town and you have to
Yeah.
go visit the chief of police and have him tell you what you're supposed to do to do things properly. I mean, I don't need the government babysitting me, and I don't think people that have a business. an
Believe me,
ice
I
cream
don't
shop
want
or
the
a
government
doctor's office.
babysitting me either.
I think people should have to come before the zoning board of appeals. A doctor, well-respected citizen, okay, transferring, an office from one location to another, and he has to come in here because we're worried about the aquifer in town. I mean, that's just, ludicrous to me. Okay?
Well, that's a different kind of business.
Well.
It's a different kind of business.
What about the ice cream shop?
Well, then you're dealing with food.
That's
Okay,
fantastic.
you're-
It's
No.
metal in the private sector's
No.
Yeah.
business.
Dan, hold on,
And
hold
trying to
on.
micromanage
What if,
people
what,
is
if,
what that is.
what if they're dealing with chemicals?
Yeah, but hold on.
What if the sky falls? We'll put it back up.
Hold on, we're getting
I
off.
mean, it's
topic.
ludicrous. Fair. It's
Thank you
fair.
for the opportunity. This is one of the hardest working boards. Bottom line is, what I'm suggesting is you're just providing an extra service.
Yeah.
You're welcoming me to the neighborhood, to the community. Thank you for bringing your business here. By the way, here's the deal. Here's what you should know about. Do you have any questions? We're filing it. Thank you, and you're on your
Goodbye.
way.
But-
And you're on your way.
That's fine.
But it says to people that we know you're here and we're watching you.
No,
I see it as Big Brother. I mean, seriously. I take
Yeah,
it
yeah,
seriously
yeah.
because I have a business
It's very
myself.
dramatic. This is why I like working.
No,
with
let's hear me out. My business, is in Danvers, and when I occupied that space, I didn't go get a permit to move into an office, okay? And I still haven't had one, 10 years later, I don't have one, okay? Because if it's permitted for a
What town
certain
did you say
use.
you were in?
What's that?
What town is that?
I'm in Danvers.
Yeah, we'll have to notify them.
You can give them notice, and I'll go to the SJC.
They don't require it.
I'll defend my
They have
right,
any property
okay?
damage too.
But let me tell you, it is Big Brother saying, who are you and what are you doing? And that's not the welcome wagon that I want for the town of Groveland. And I want to welcome businesses here, and we should have more ribbon cutting ceremonies.
Well-
And we shouldn't say, you need to stop at this office and that office and that office before you check in town. So I don't think you should have to check your bags anywhere before you come into Groveland. I want you here, I
Well,
want the business.
Except that you do have to adhere to the conditions that were approval for business taken over. And I can't imagine that I would, I can't imagine that I would go in and I would buy your business without finding out what's the restrictions.
Well, there are a lot of stupid people out there.
Yeah,
Trust
oh
me.
boy.
Well,
I
yeah,
know
yeah,
so
but-
than
but-
not.
I don't
Thank
have
you.
a problem with them coming to
Yeah.
see us just to say welcome to town, but I don't
Well,
want to
it's
stop
true.
them from
We've
coming
seen
to
it.
town because
But
I will tell you,
it does,
there
we
is
have
a-
vacancies in town, it's a recurring problem.
There's
Well,
already,
maybe
It
because
is a
we have a
problem.
bad
already a
economy.
reputation here. I know of 3 different business people who told me I will never go to Groveland.
And that's why
Never.
I get off my couch and I'm involved in town now,
Right.
and I'm gonna try to change it, so Groveland is pro-business
Well,
to a
yeah.
reasonable degree,
Let
a
me-
prudent degree, a
Let me just say that-
responsible degree.
Let's get back, and I'll tell you, I'll go back to what I said when I first started. In reading the ordinance, there's nothing in the ordinance that says if you're same permitted use, that you gotta go to the Board of Appeals.
Well, then it
So
shouldn't,
so what I'm
be
saying
enforced.
is that what we should do is just let the people, if you're gonna sell a business and transfer paper, that you're gonna be subject to the same conditions that I had when I got approved. And it's incumbent upon the buyer to say, well, what are those?
Right.
That's
And-
all.
and-
And so when they send a letter to us, we'll, as a courtesy, take a copy of those conditions and then forward it to these other conditions you're subject to. Now, if they violate any of those preconditions, they're the same as if the person that didn't sell it violated. The town has recourse to go and take enforcement action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's as if I start running a pig farm out of my backyard.
To go further where to bring them back in, I don't think it's necessary, because it's incumbent upon that purchaser to know what he's buying and
Buyer beware.
yeah, I mean.
Most people are responsible when they put
Well,
the
they
money
should
on
be.
the table.
So,
they're
and
even more
that's what
responsible.
I mean, and I, like I said, originally I thought we had to put a warrant to change this, but in the research, it just seems that the board just has to agree that we're just gonna require the people on this, and we would notify the town clerk and the building inspector by written letter that says, if it's the exact same transfer of title, then the people are gonna be conditioned upon the same conditions, and that they need to forward a letter to the town clerk, we'll stamp it, give it to the Board of Appeals for our records, and that in turn, the board will send them a copy of the conditions that they have to adhere to, and that's, but it's gotta be exact same.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would propose, so,
Has to just tack on continuous.
yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know if we need a motion on that, or we can just make a board decision, or.
I vote
I
in
should
favor
always
of it.
vote on it.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we, in the year 2014, starting February, what day?
15th.
First.
No.
Do we need to
what's-
find out about
Oh.
the hearing notices and things like that?
February.
No, we're not gonna do any hearing.
February
What's the meeting?
4th?
February 4th?
Is it the 4th?
Yeah, all transfers of existing permitted uses will require a letter to be sent to the town clerk, notifying the clerk that transfer of title is either proposed or taking place to operate the exact business, permitted business, subject to the prior special permit conditions, and that this particular letter then would be forwarded to the Board of Appeals, put on the agenda, and we would read it, make a motion to put it in the file, and then copy the conditions, the prior conditions to that new owner. That's my motion.
Seconded.
Second, Dan, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
You opposed?
I oppose.
One opposed. It carries. Okay. Next item on our agenda is gonna be review of a new application. Deborah, what do you have on that? I'm kidding. I know you weren't here last week.
I wasn't
That's
here,
me.
I don't have my notes.
You weren't here. I'll tell you what I couldn't open, my computer hasn't been working real good, so I couldn't even open it, but I had done some homework in the past on these, and I had done some drafts, and I also have some from other towns, namely, I guess I have Middleton and actually, I used to work in Brunswick, Maine, so I got a copy of theirs as well. You guys would be pleased to know that the application there was and still is $25. So the fees are a little different in Maine
I looked up Danvers too, just because I happen to be looking through their Danvers zoning book, and
Yeah.
there's a $25 too.
Yeah. So it's a situation where probably the municipality is eating some of the costs. So if the town of Groveland so chose to eat some cost of the appellant's fees, then we could lower them. But in the absence of that, we've gone over these fees, and this is exactly what it costs to advertise and do the thing properly. So those
I don't-
fees are applicable.
I don't have a problem if they're gonna change, but it was the transfers
well, that- I
doing
think
the
we took care of that.
$650. That was my problem. But if they're gonna change and put in a whole new business, yeah, they
Yeah.
they should pay. But it was the transfer people
Yeah.
that it just didn't make sense. It
Okay.
seemed
Dan, did you have a chance to look at your application and have any ideas on streamlining it?
Well, I mean, I've commented before on the number of employees. I don't understand why that's.
No, I mean on the application here.
Oh.
The zoning board, this is what we're talking about now.
The
We're talking
actual
about
application.
the application, we're gonna revise the application.
This fall, yeah.
The form.
Okay,
And,
actual application.
Trying to streamline it and make it more user-friendly, because, you know, currently, like I said, currently you get people that come in here, and I've had,
Just take a look at the minutes.
we've had, you know, we've had pages that have nothing on it, like no, you know,
I can look at that too.
no zoning, no lot, no proposal or anything, and in fact, one of the other things that we have, which is really, I don't understand is that you have,
I mean, there could be a checklist type of thing on the front of it, you know?
you have municipal employees that sign off, this is a list of certified abutters are provided, and then you have, I reviewed this application with respect to responses to section 3, question 3, 9, 10, and 11. Now, I want to say this in such a way that it doesn't indicate anyone other than the position. And the position that signs for this should review it. And I have been to the position and talked to the person currently about this, and I've said, did you review 3, 9, 10, and 11? And the person said, yes, I have, and when I showed them the application, it was blank.
I think there should almost be two separate applications for the special permit and the variance. I mean, you have it all on a combination form,
Yeah,
and I think that could muddle a lot.
that's confusing.
It's
It is
confusing.
Yeah, it is.
Do I need a variance or a special permit? And most lay people don't know the difference between the two.
Yeah, and I think by what happened was, it was done like that, so that maybe the board at one point could mix and match without, I don't know, I'm just thinking that maybe they would be
Well,
able to.
sometimes you need both.
Yeah, well, that's right, but if you put it on one application, and they say, oh, where do we go, you know, and they mix and match it,
Yeah,
so.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah.
What we could probably do is on the front of the application, maybe, like you said, put a checkbox if it's a variance or if it's a special permit.
Yeah.
And maybe next to the box say, please fill out part A, or please fill out part B.
And I think it's important on you know, I've been here not too long, but a number of meetings, and it seems to be repetitive that people show up without a simple plot plan. It doesn't.
I haven't seen one official one since
No,
I've
you
been
see,
here.
you should, when I first came,
But they-
I wanted to vote to say, hey, listen.
But
it's
they
not
get a
gonna-
photocopy, and even if they took their best attempt at showing you the setbacks, at least we get to see what it looks like,
Well, it
so.
says
I-
10,
see-
you know, you have to come with 10 copies of a certified plot plan
Yeah.
stamped by a professional
This-
engineer.
This is what.
That was definitely not.
No. This here is
That's
what we used in Brunswick, and it's only, all it was a case number, date, applicant's name, address, their phone number. Julie's had to chase down numbers before, and the property owner, then a map and lot, and here it is, a type of appeal, and it talks about it. It talks about the variance, non-conforming, special exception, special permit, but I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. And then once you check that off, then you go inside and you find it with a page at the top of the page, one's variance, oh, that's not, cross that one out, we're not doing that. And then you get to the page where the one that you're gonna refer to, then you fill that out.
Yeah.
But you know up front, and it references the section of the ordinance to adhere to.
Right, if you don't need a variance, skip to this one.
That's right, and then, so you check it out.
This application seems like it's an information dump,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it's up to the ZBA to sift through it and see what's needed.
That's
and what
exactly right. Yeah.
So if we could just kind of break it down into sections.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I think it's really important.
I don't think you need a professional engineer, you know.
Oh, no.
No, I don't either, but it says that. I'm just saying we've never seen one. I mean, obviously it hasn't stopped us from voting on
It should
anything,
be
but-
on, you know, if the residential, it should be on 8.5 by 11 so far files. I mean, we don't want this big.
Come in here
ones.
with a diagram
Yeah.
to scale,
Yeah.
as best you can,
Yeah, exactly.
with setbacks.
Yeah, and this is an informal board, and if there's a, you know, because all bets are off for, like, you know, when you have engineers, like we have a 40B or a variance, and if you're gonna have a variance in some setbacks of a subdivision or something like that, where you have formal stuff, where it's gone to a planning board where it's already done. But for the homeowner and the person coming in, the layperson, we're trying to make it as easy and cost efficient for each one of these people. So, but I think that might be a better format is to.
It's easy, it's friendly.
Yeah,
User-friendly.
to have it, just a checklist in the front, check it off, and then when the person has to know that when they check that off, then they gotta go to that particular page.
Right.
So, I could do that, change it around.
And they must have a diagram of some sort.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
could cause delays.
Like,
And maybe they could put the diagram along with the application.
yeah, I mean, when I first go
Yeah,
to the
that's the
board,
other thing, if you don't check off all the boxes, it shouldn't be accepted for admission.
well, there you are.
Yeah.
So that would stop, prevent a lot of wasted
That's
time.
a whole other issue.
I started-
Okay.
yeah.
We get a lot of incomplete applications.
Yeah, and I don't know who reviews them, and I mean,
Nobody.
if you got a,
Maybe that needs to be,
well, I know who, you got a person who's signing off, and it's just not the person.
Tom, we've made progress, because when I first came on the zoning board, and I used to look at the applications, did I not, Julie? I scrutinized these things, and I would say, wasn't that interesting? This was signed off by these
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah.
the dates are out of
2
order.
years ago.
2 years ago.
No, I'm serious.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm still writing 13 on my checks.
It was all done on the same,
But, yeah, but
the
I-
same
see,
day,
I-
it was on every application.
Yeah, I don't know why, if you're gonna review this, question 3, 9, 10, and 11, if you're gonna review it, then you ought to look at it.
Correct,
See what's answered.
correct.
But who's gonna babysit? I mean, that's ridiculous.
But here's the thing, is then we get the application, and you open it up, and half of this stuff, there's nothing here.
Nothing there. That's right.
Some of it's not applicable though, so
Well, so
if you
but that's
had
your
if you had a flow chart that it was user-friendly, you'd skip what's not applicable.
Right,
We need-
but the fact being that this is the application that we've had to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So, it clearly states in here that, if it's not filled out properly, we could, and it's incomplete, we could
Could
say.
deny it.
Yeah, or not deny it, but we
We
could say,
would,
we're not opening this up.
Yeah,
Well,
we wouldn't have it here.
The
But
problem
we-
is, it's time-stamped, and after it's time-stamped, we are under a deadline.
Correct.
Here.
But, yeah, and so what happened, I gotta tell you, there's, if you look in the town report, you'll find that they do have a zoning administrator in town. There is one, and his name, or the person's name, excuse me. That zoning administrator should be the person to review this application before it comes to the board. I've done that in my past profession, okay? I made sure, as the zoning administrator in the towns I worked with, that the application didn't go to the board until it was complete. But this particular situation is that the person come in with a blank sheet, and the person signs it off and says, yep, you're okay.
Yep.
So is it, do you penalize the applicant? I don't know.
Well, you shouldn't blame the clerk either though,
Well, it's not the clerk,
or whoever it is.
yeah. It's
Whoever the
it's
gatekeeper is,
zoning.
I don't mean specifically.
Well,
the
yeah,
clerk,
well,
so
but there's a
strike
zone,
that.
there is a zoning administrator in the town.
But the zoning administrator,
There
whoever
is
that
one.
is on the intake,
Yeah, there is one, and that
I mean-
zoning administrator who's signing off here should review the application, make sure that the application is complete before it gets to the town clerk, then refers it to Julie, because if it isn't, we could then deny it and then not have it, but then all of a sudden, who's getting penalized?
I agree with you to a degree, but I think they would have to scrutinize and ask, get all the questions, are you sure you don't have this, and, they'd have to basically go through line by line and make sure.
Well, that's what I do once I get the application. If I find it that it's not filled out correctly, in which we had one that was scribbled, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I called up,
Did you-
I called the person up and I had asked her specific questions because it wasn't filled out correctly.
Well, maybe maybe the problem is some of the instructions aren't very user-friendly either. Maybe if you're gonna separate it by special permit and variance, you have this actual directions.
Like
Maybe
how-
they're not as user-friendly, maybe they can't figure it out, maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe
Well,
it's
for one thing, the
confusing.
print's bigger here, I like that better.
Well, this,
Seriously.
it's all one thing, which is,
It's easier to understand,
But when you turn the page and it says important notice to applicant,
Right, you should read it, I agree.
that should prompt you to at least be a little curious as to, what's
But,
the important notice?
but I gotta tell you, if you, the reason that we know it's important is because we're dealing with it.
It's obvious.
But if you got a person, and I don't know, I don't wanna pick on Mike, but I'm not sure what you do for work. But prior to being on the board, were you familiar with how to apply?
Well, I know how to fill out an application, yeah.
You would have been?
I would have filled it out completely before I brought it in, personally.
Yeah, I don't think I would have had the
No, I
nerve to
wouldn't have
come in
left.
without a certified plot
Yeah,
plan.
I would have gotten everything that's checked to say, all right, this is what I
But
need.
how would you get it? You see, how would you access the information you needed to know?
I'd go ask somebody.
Who, yeah, but if the person didn't tell you, or wouldn't tell you, or wasn't able to tell you, how would you get that information? Because it's simple as finding what the zoning is. How do you find the zoning?
You go on
Here's an example right here, here's the question, how long have you owned the premises? Question mark, will be renting, they don't own it, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's.
It should be, do you own this property or are you going to rent it?
Yeah, yeah,
Checkbox, checkbox.
So again, there's not a natural flow, so people take a guess at, what are you trying to get at?
Yeah,
Well, I'm renting it, I'm the tenant, not the
Yeah,
landlord.
we just wanted for our records to keep a continuity of who's there.
How many buildings on the property? Well, is the shed a movable shed, is it a, you know,
Yeah.
with a foundation, I mean, so, a lot of people don't have the definition of what these things are, and so they take their best stab at
But
it.
you see, there is a person in town that is a zoning administrator who has those answers.
All right.
And the person has signed off that the person has reviewed these applications, and when they come here, you know,
If that zoning officer screens them and says they're good to go, and then they get before us and they're incomplete, then I think we cut the slack to the applicant that, okay,
Well, we have.
it got by your screening.
we have,
That's
that's
And then- and
what
then
we've
you-
been doing.
And you had an address that was incorrect on one of them, and that's, I can see it's here, I give proper notice what unit it is, I think it's important.
Right.
Well,
Which
you
side
know,
of the street, which building?
you know,
Um,
for the next meeting, I can take this particular format, take this information here and transfer to this format and have I think it might be by either this meeting or the next meeting, have a proposal of a new application.
Have a draft or a couple of variations and we can
Yeah.
kick it
Oh,
around.
Yeah, didn't Julie, isn't that what you sent out to people? That we had started working on, I mean, I think it was still a little cumbersome, there was a lot of stuff in there, but.
Well, you know, the one I got from Julie was just this one.
Yeah, was that?
That's the one I
Oh.
gave.
The one that- the current one.
What happened to the one that, oh,
But I couldn't open it up. It
This was
When
just the
you
one that's
fill
at
this
the.
out,
Because that's one everyone said that they wanted.
Yeah.
oh, I thought you were sending the
I
one
think
that
to come down
Phil
and get the
and I
application,
started
they
working
fill it
on.
out
I
on the
haven't.
website.
I don't
I
know.
never got any.
You don't have it?
No,
Oh,
Doesn't look like it's.
that's what I thought you were sending
no,
out.
no, I never got that.
Oh,
No, this is, I had asked Julie to send me at least the current application in format so I could mess around with it and edit it
I
and
see,
stuff. That's what
I
I had
see.
asked her. So maybe that's,
I wouldn't have it any other way.
so, would you? But if you
Yeah.
have one, before we recreate the wheel again.
I already did, I have two things
Oh,
you
you
have
have
to
it?
sign
Okay,
here.
okay.
I can't sign this.
All right.
So-
Well, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll try to get something the next meeting, at least a rough draft or a different format to hopefully be more user friendly. How's that?
Like the idea.
Okay, good. All right, that's what we'll do then.
Tom, is it possible
What?
that, in somewhere in the new format,
Yeah,
that we can actually, put on a checklist somewhere, or maybe not in the checklist, but just a little notice as to, you know, if you have any questions regarding how to fill out the application, who do they contact?
well, they should contact the zoning administrator,
Oh, then why don't we put that in there?
okay? Not a problem.
Is this online or is this only a hard copy there? to
No,
cover?
it's online now.
Is it?
It's online, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that too, and at the end, when we put it back, you know, let's say when we edit the whole thing and put it back up online, they have those PDF forms that you can actually fill out.
Yeah.
You know the ones I'm talking
So
about?
it's all typed in.
Right, so you could type in everything on there, and then you could print it off, and then bring it to the board, you know, the town clerk and whoever else needs to sign off on it. And that way, it might be easier, and we wouldn't get the chicken scratch sometimes that we get. It might be easier for everyone to read. But those forms are fairly easy to do, and you can do, they can sit and do them right at home. And for the people who don't
Well, as
wanna
long
do it,
as-
they can get a hard
You're
copy.
talking about filling in the blanks.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it'll be all typed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the actual digital
And
format.
then if
for-
the
for that.
particular, and then if the particular line wasn't enough, you put like an asterisk and
Right.
then see attached.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that would work.
It
Well,
just might
I'll
be
work on a
neater
quick,
for all of us.
I'll work on a quick one,
What kind?
quick format for next meeting, hopefully. All right.
Are you gonna have a different form for 40Bs?
I gotta look at it.
Should have
Yeah.
different form for 40Bs.
One's coming.
Should go
Well,
with
this is
the
gonna be a
newest
while,
regulation.
this'll take us a while to get this through. When we got, we have lively
I actually have this. if you
discussions,
wanna
which
look
is
at
good.
it.
What's that? Handy.
Yeah.
Okay, can you make me a copy and I'll
Please.
try to, please, and I'll make a, you don't have to do it right now, but I'll put that in here and I'll try to come up with a format that will make it a little easier and make the print a little larger, which is, make it a little easier for everyone to read and understand. Moving right along. What
These
do
two
we
need
got?
to be signed.
We have minutes of, let's see, what date are these? We have December.
December
Why
4th.
we got two?
Oh, I just had 2 copies.
And you signed two? One for the clerk?
No,
Just
just
one.
one.
Okay.
So I'll send you, let's see, today is
The 15th.
yeah.
Charlie, what day is it? Wake up.
Dan, were you a voting member last meeting?
No.
No, it was a full,
Okay.
it was a full board.
Then you can review those, and how about the invoices? Okay.
I was here though.
I remember you were here, yes. You had your, that inhaler,
Yes, I did.
yeah. I had my phone on speed dial for 911, I wasn't sure that you were gonna make
Yeah,
that.
I'm a DNR.
Yeah, no. Okay, we'll send these down, review them.
What, Charlie? Speak. People can't see your face, you can talk.
So I think
How do
we've
you decide
pretty
who
much
comes
discussed everything
before
we
the
needed
board?
to tonight.
What do you mean? How do we decide?
Other than we'll have
You're
the
an
voting
appeals
items.
board, you're appealing the building inspector's decision. Does the building inspector decide that they're wrong and they have to come before you?
I was here.
Does the bill,
What-
well, it
what-
depends
say
on
that
whether he
again?
has a complaint or not.
Say that again, Charlie?
Yeah, he's trying to.
You're an appeals board.
Yeah.
You're appealing the building inspector's decision.
Yeah,
If somebody goes to the building inspector
yeah.
and he decides that they should come before the board to change part of the zoning so it fits them, is he the one that decides they should come before the board?
No, an appeal of the building inspector's letter would be that if you came to the building inspector and you said, I want to operate XYZ business, and the building inspector says, well, that's not allowed use, and you disagree with it, then you would take, the applicant, who asked the building inspector if he could do it, would come to the board to appeal the decision of the building inspector.
All right, now does the building inspector then send you a letter saying why he?
Well,
Agree with-
no, he would send the applicant, who then would, based on that letter to the applicant, would use that letter as a basis for the appeal to come to the board.
It would be smart for the building inspector to come in with the applicant. So
Yeah,
he
the
can
building,
explain himself.
yeah, he should explain why he did it, but,
Yeah, he should explain why he denied.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would be in the
letter.
letter, I mean, it would be in the letter, and then you would hope that,
I've never seen anybody give you a letter saying that the building inspector denied me and this is the reasons he denied me.
we've had some issues,
did?
over on, by Greenwood,
Oh,
Now, does the,
but that wasn't because of the building inspector.
does the
Denied.
building
no, but
inspector,
beside here, there was an oil, trucks were being stored in a garage, and
I remember.
someone had complained, and the building inspector wrote a letter, said that was not a business. Now, it would have been incumbent upon whoever received that letter to then come back to the board and, come back to the Board of Appeals to appeal that particular decision made by the building inspector at this particular time. Didn't happen.
now, does the building inspector decide if it's a special permit or a variance?
Well,
You're
Here
assuming,
again.
you're assuming that the applicant doesn't know all the bylaws.
what it is there's a zoning administrator for the town of Groveland. The zoning administrator should, when someone comes in and says, can I do this? The zoning administrator comes in, looks at the zoning, and says, okay, this is a permitted use, or this is permitted use subject to a special exception. Here's the application, you need to fill it out. If you have any questions, we're glad to help you. That's how it works in the real world.
Yeah, but you keep calling him the zoning administrator and I keep calling him the building inspector.
Well,
But
Well,
is-
he's the zoning officer.
But, can I ask a question?
go ahead.
But isn't it true that every new business needs a special permit?
New business, that's right.
New businesses.
That's right. But that's in the ordinance.
So what are permitted uses within the town under zoning bylaws? What are permitted uses for new businesses coming in within districts? And that takes us to, what are we appealing from? We're not appealing from much of anything, in my opinion, and this is my opinion. What we're doing is we're starting the process here. The application starts at ZBA and it shouldn't start here.
No, it's not starting here. It
There
shouldn't
should-
start here.
Where does it start?
It should start with the zoning administrator that comes in and says, I want to do this business. He looks in the zone and says, it's allowed, but it's allowed by special exception. And that means that you have to go to the Board of Appeals to get a special exception to start this business, or to change this business to another business requires a special permit per the zoning ordinance. This is not unique to Groveland. This is a standard operation in many towns.
understand.
Where if what's that?
Well, I've had this discussion with other people. and-
Yeah, no, but it isn't. I have worked in let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towns, and every one of them had the same type of maybe a little different, quirky, but where if you're going to change it and it required a special permit. Now, I've been in towns before where the special permit went before a committee that was appointed by the town council to review those on a regular basis. We used to meet weekly and take care of it. It was,
But let me ask you this, I mean,
but that was by ordinance.
why isn't it a system where when someone comes in and they build an office building, why isn't it permitted at that point in time, the uses that it's permitted for medical offices, attorneys, engineers, architects? Why isn't there a list of permitted uses by right, so that when you say, okay, I'm gonna look at, 13 Elm Street, yep, okay, that's a medical office building, are you a doctor? Well, I'm a doctor of
Which
law.
doctor?
Well, I mean, that's not a medical use, so, I mean, you can have somebody say, okay, well, you have to be in the health business because you have permitted uses, okay? If I wanted to change that to a law office, they'd say, okay, maybe you have to go get a special permit because you're deviating from permitted uses, but I don't think we have
Well,
delineated
Yeah, but I
uses by permit, so
No, but I
that
think that
all
originally
new
they-
businesses have to come before us, so there's no, what do you?
But see, the ordinance says that if you're gonna do X, Y, Z, you can do it subject to a special permit. It's in the ordinance. It's the way the ordinance is written.
The way, again, this is my opinion, from what I understand, that's what's called spot zoning,
Well,
okay?
you know,
And
no,
it's
spot
come
zone
up
is different.
discussions that the zoning bylaws need to be updated, it's
Yeah.
been said, so.
Yeah, no, spot zoning is totally different than that. Spot zoning is.
No, when I was,
You
is a
you
zone.
can't get a business
Not a
in town
use.
without a special permit,
Well, yeah, but that's the way the ordinance is written.
is it lawful?
I've often thought of that too. Why isn't it?
I mean,
Why isn't it per? You're right. Like that.
I don't know.
That
There's
place
a
up
lot
on Salem.
of-
I mean, I don't know.
That's something for town council
Yeah,
to look
I mean,
at.
that's what's in the ordinance, you see, different towns have it differently, but it's in the ordinance that,
Well, I don't know
that
how
you
small
have to
towns
come for a
become
special
cities.
permit, I don't know why it's in there, but it's in there. Now,
Move
if
in.
you didn't want that, then someone, and I suspect, in my, experience has been the planning board would be the one to promulgate the changes of uses, and I understand that maybe they wanna talk to the board and maybe even have some discussion as to some issues that we may be able to bring that up. I don't know, I mean,
Maybe
it's
we
got to be a
should.
reason why they wanted that in there, and it's in there, and I think by the action we took tonight, at least alleviates one part of it. You know, this is baby steps, you know, like.
I think it's gonna
Like,
cause problems.
what about Bob, you know, just do baby steps, you know? I'll be in next week, next meeting, I'll have my fish around, you know, I'll get the fish in here.
So we should meet with the planning board.
They're gonna, yeah, if,
Yeah,
We can have a
I'll be in
powwow.
touch with you. The one thing is, I was on zoning in Georgetown for 7 or 8 years, right? And what we did over there was, when a case came before the zoning, right, it had a letter from the building inspector saying why he denied it. He also said he reviewed everything, all right? And we could go through a hearing in less than a half an hour, because we knew exactly why he denied it, and then we had the exact information, plans and all of that kind of stuff. It wouldn't even get to us until he approved, you know, the whole application, and it came from him, basically.
Well, Charlie, what I was telling you is that we have a similar situation here, where the person does sign off that I have
Right.
reviewed this application with respect to questions 3, 9, 10, and 11. And on many applications, those sections are blank.
When a hearing came before us, if they didn't have a plot plan or something like that, we'd say, no, we're not gonna hear it.
Well,
That's it.
that was my. I
We
mean,
used to do that too, Charlie.
But
Yeah,
Charlie,
now you're babysitting
Well,
through the. through the
Except
whole
that I don't think it's in some cases the applicant's fault, because
Right.
we work in this. I mean, I've been doing this stuff, you know, for
thing. No, it's.
Go ahead, show your age. How old are you?
30 years. So I mean, so to me, this, I don't have to think about it, because I've enforced this. I have done the other. I've been zoning administrator in a town of 27,000 people, that we had 17 zones and about 5 overlays. So to look at this zoning ordinance, try to interpret it, there's nothing there. I mean, it's not that hard, but that's because I have experience. But you take a person who is an office worker, and no disrespect intended to any of them, but has no information or any knowledge to this. It's like buying a car. If you're going to buy a car, I hate to buy a car, but if I worked in the automobile industry for years, I probably wouldn't be intimidated to go and buy a car, because I know how to do the inside. I know the inside of how this works. But it's I don't think that it's fair for the application to sit here, and we've had this where it says, well, we went to the zoning administrator, and he said everything's all set. In fact, he signed off. So why, then we say, well, look at, we're gonna have to.
but here's,
But it's the zoning administrator's fault then.
but here's the thing,
No
Charlie.
comment.
The zoning administrator can't issue any permits because
No.
there are no permitted
That's correct.
uses by right.
That's correct.
And that is a fatal flaw in what we have in town.
Well, but that's the ordinance. That's what we got handed to us.
Okay, so that is why they're not appealing, they're starting here.
Right.
Yeah.
I see you.
You
Well,
start here,
but-
because the zoning administrator can't approve anything other than the application to get up to us.
Yeah. However, I mean, there are issues where, I mean, I don't know what to say on here. We used to have, in Brunswick where I worked, it was they were appealing the decision of the code enforcement officer, and I worked there for almost 14 years, and I had probably, I don't know, 50 appeals, and I only lost one. So, and sometimes, you know, you'd make them go just because you wanted it to be on record. But, yeah, that happens, but I don't know, I don't know what the
Everybody comes to
solution
the
is.
zoning board of appeals, no matter what they do in this town.
Yeah, that's the way the ordinance is written, Charlie, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the solution is.
Change the
Change the
ordinance.
ordinance. Yeah.
Well, that's,
By town meeting.
yeah, but that's not easy, that's not, I mean, we've got a couple drafts that I've read, and those drafts, I think this is my 4th year, and the drafts have been around for 4 years, and no one's ever talked to, you know,
Well,
so.
I can tell
Well, a
you-
lot of the drafts are
I've
kind
been-
of
I've
messed
been
up.
at, I've been in public meetings with planning board members, and I think that, the fact that they wanna meet with you and possibly discuss this and other strategic concepts, that's another holiday here in Groveland if that
Yeah.
happens. We've tried it before, but I think we're gonna try it again.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm
the only
very
issue,
excited about that.
well, the only issue that I got is that they've wanted to meet with us before, and we've been there, and not
And they
one,
haven't.
not one member of theirs showed up, so.
Well, I know you've heard it before, but I think it's different this time.
Yeah.
Well,
It sounded-
hopefully, I mean, you know, this, you know,
Every day is
you know,
different.
with the money that we're getting paid here, you know, I can,
Yep.
you know, I mean, we're just here for volunteers, and we're trying to make it a lay board, so that make it, easier for people to get things accomplished, so that's my only.
It's a hard-working board, I know
Yeah,
it is. It's
so-
a big commitment.
But anyways, let's move on to the minutes on December 4th. I need a motion to approve the minutes,
Motion to approve minutes?
and, seconded. You can't,
What kind of motion
He's
is
voting
that?
tonight.
It doesn't say what minutes or
I did,
anything.
I said
I'm
December,
sorry.
No,
I'll tell you, I make a motion to approve the December 4th,
here we getting
2015.
lazy.
Yeah, really, meeting, I need a seconded.
Second.
Second,
In favor?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we're all set on that. Now, on the Town of Groveland bills payable schedule, we have, let's see, we have Julie House, expenditure of $363.20, and then we have supplies of $50.97 for a total of $414.17. I make a motion to approve. Seconded? Second, Kathy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Okay,
pay the money.
that's all we have for tonight. I need a motion to deny, yeah, a motion to.
I got one more
Go
issue.
ahead,
That's a permitted use.
Go ahead.
One more issue.
go ahead.
Some of you may know, some of you may not know, some may not care, but,
Okay, what is it?
about another committee, the, Government Advisory Committee. We have a meeting on the 30th.
Yep,
And we're charged with reviewing the organization and town structure of Groveland, and listening to departments and committees. And we value your input, and if, Mr. Chairman, as I've told you before, you're welcome to attend the meeting on the 30th and exchange ideas on how to improve communications between, be it ZBA or the planning board, or anything else that helps the function of government and the benefit of people in town.
what time?
It's, we start at 7 o'clock. I believe I have a conservation commission scheduled at 7 o'clock. I could put you on at 7:20 or 7:30, or you could certainly come up and enter into the discussion with Mr. Dempsey and the Conservation Commission.
And the name of the committee is?
It's the, referred to as the GAC. It's a Government Advisory Committee. And
What day is the 30th?
it's Thursday evening, 7 p.m.
Oh, this is a bad night.
So if you can make it, or
I'll see what we can do.
it's open to everyone.
You
Okay,
can actually
sweet.
place them on the agenda to be actually interviewed by them.
Yeah, I was gonna, if you,
Which I would recommend.
if anyone wanted to, we could put you on for,
We've actually interviewed, I'm on the same committee, we've actually interviewed department heads,
Yeah.
commissioners. We're going right through all of the government departments and inviting people for their input about how government is being run, how their departments and commissions are being run, and recommendations for changes. We have a special charge to do that, and we're about a year and a half into this project.
And what is the?
So we could actually put you on the agenda, 15 minutes or so, and,
Yeah, what's the
Pick your brain.
anticipated results though, Joe? I mean,
our first charge was to whether or not to recommend a 5-member board of selectmen.
Yeah,
That charge resulted in a recommendation being made at town meeting, which at town meeting that was voted on. 3-4 weeks ago, that was signed into law by the state. Governor Patrick signed a law. We don't have a 5-member board because of that law. That law simply allows us to do 2 more steps. One of them is we, as a town, vote on it. Should be done in my opinion, in an election, not a special election. And then wait a year and actually phase in those 2 members, if the town votes on it. So that's where we're at. Now, the second charge was to, okay, let's study government. How do we do business here? And we went right down the line. Police department, we've interviewed water department.
Planning was in.
Planning came in.
Superintendent of
Yeah,
schools
well,
came in.
so you want me there at what, 7:30? 7:20?
So we'll interview
7:20
you
will be
and
fine.
pick your brain, basically.
7:20.
Okay, I'll be there.
And you're all welcome.
Joe, I have a
Town of
question.
assessors came down, the whole department came down. That was one of the best presentations we ever had.
We'll,
I
we'll,
learned more
we'll,
about
we'll
the
get our
town that
bunch,
night.
Joe, so that we can be represented.
Yeah,
Now,
great.
now,
I have a question.
Sure.
My question is the town thinking about having each board, have one central computer or have a program where each board can go in and look at different information?
tell them.
Because there was talk about
can
this
I have some fun?
probably about 8 years ago, where they were gonna scan documents
Whatever you
in.
want.
That way, each department, if they needed to look at a document, they could find it on the network.
We haven't had an active discussion about that, but I'm familiar with that idea, but we have not actively discussed that.
I just thought of something, Joe. Let me tell you, the very first meeting I attended, I set beside,
Right here?
yep, I just set beside this young lady beside me, and I said to her, in a low voice, I said, "Did you see Cool Hand Luke?" And she said, "Yes, I did." I was here probably half an hour, and I said, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." And I saw that within about 10 minutes of being at the first meeting. This isn't my first rodeo. I've been to many meetings in several different towns in this capacity. Not as chairman, I've been chairman of other state boards. And so I reckon, to reiterate what you're trying to do, there is certainly a lack of communication in town, and I don't know how that happens. This is the smallest town I've ever worked in or been
We have a
associated
couple of
with.
structural problems. We don't have a habit of 24 hours or 48 hours after you've had this meeting that your minutes are on the website, for example.
Yeah.
We also have the wonderful distinction of not having any press coverage. And then the turnout at these meetings are not that great. So and then you have some issues with the cable, which we're addressing, and so, yeah, we're in an information board. You guys are doing great work, and few people know about it. And it doesn't come out of this box unless someone shows up or you post your meeting somewhere.
Yeah.
People wanna know. I post the agenda for the Board of Selectmen, never been seen before. I post it on Facebook. Otherwise, if somebody wants to know what's going on in a Board of Selectmen meeting, they have to come find it on a clipboard. Who's gonna do that if you're working or have children in your house? So we're working on some stuff.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's
I
coming together
recognize that
beautifully.
right away, but
Yeah.
we have got one, before we adjourn, we got one,
We have one sad note.
well, I'm not sure that's a sad, well, that's a sad note, but we have, the meetings from now on will be a lot less contentious because.
Rambunctious.
Yeah, one of our fire
Savory.
plugs here,
I am
With that,
resigning
go
from the
ahead.
board, and I put in my resignation to the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, then I'll resign.
I knew you would come. I told my husband, Charlie's gonna be leaving with me. I've been here many a years. I wanted to stay for the Center Street project, see that through, which is still on the board. But, yeah, I think it's time to do something else. Maybe I'll find something else in town to do.
well,
I've enjoyed this board. It's been a long time. It's time to do something else.
we wish you well.
Can't take you with me, Charlie.
We wish you well.
On the
and,
planning board, they need help.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No.
5-man board of selectmen.
I've enjoyed bantering with you, and I'm going to miss.
Well, you're
miss
gonna
that.
have to sit a little closer
I'll
to
have to sit
Julie
a little
because you really dropped the ball a
I
lot.
have to go. Yeah, I do. Well, listen. We need a motion to adjourn.
Close.
Second.
Is that as of today?
Yes, that's it.
So that's what you, yeah, that's what you do it. You know, don't linger, just do it.
Oh,
quickly.
that's right. Hey, just
Like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, just pull it off quick. I'm all done. We need a second.
I'll second it.
You all those in favor?
Aye.
9:20, adjourned.